So we're going to get started with this webinar. This is what we're going to talk about today. Now, the first thing we're going to cover is conditional automations and what those are. Then we're going to talk about conditional stages, which are actually going to be coming out tomorrow. And the real crux of this webinar is we're going over a sample 1040 pipeline, and it's available in your template library for you to literally click copy and import it into your own workspace. Now, the one thing that's missing from there is conditional stages, which will be added tomorrow and updated as well. So then we're going to talk a little bit about how you actually kickstart the process. So you set up the pipeline, you set up your ideal process, you set up your templates, but then how do you actually start it? So we're going to have a little bit of a legend here because we wanted to give a visual guide of the various tools at your disposal, what you're going to see, because there's a lot in here. So just want to show you this visual guide, and you're going to see this throughout this presentation, just to really help you along of what you're looking at and how it works. So obviously we're going to go over a pipeline. You're going to see the differences between stages and tasks. So those are visually different in here. We're going to show you auto move when it's there. And again, you'll see all this within the actual pipeline structure that we'll go over. But before we got started, we wanted to just show you the visual items that you're going to be seeing throughout the process. All right, so this is what we're going to cover here. The next thing that we're going to cover is really the sample pipeline that we're going to go over. You can copy this into your library directly from our template library. So this is already in your workspace should you want it to be. We're just going to go over it step by step, exactly how it works, the various options you can add to it. And then we're also going to talk about how you can modify it. So in this exact scenario, we have 10 stages, but again, you can modify them as you see fit. And as you can see, some stages are named to really give you more granular view of what's going on at a glance. So for example, if a client is a new client retainer, you are automatically going to know why they're not moving across because they haven't paid their retainer and that they're getting hung up in there. Now, you'll notice some of these stages have a little conditional. You see that little orange icon? That's a conditional stage. So that means that unless a client has a specific tag, they're just going to skip that stage completely and go to the next stage. So this will be really helpful for you to kind of set up your process. And again, this is available to download from your library. The name is 1040 Get Ready for Tax Season Webinar in today's date. Once you download it, you can then modify it as you see fit. So everything we're going over today, this is just how we've set it up, but you're able to modify it, modify the templates, modify the verbiage, change message, change emails, add, remove communication. So this is really just kind of a core for you to work with, which then you can modify for your firm. Okay, so in this sample pipeline, you'll notice the first stage is called emails and contracts. And if we go back to the prior stage here, this is the first stage you see here. Now you'll notice auto move is on. So as soon as the client completes what you need them to do, they're going to move to the next stage. So the first thing you're going to see, and again, this is in the template, is we have an email going out to your clients. Now, there are two different email templates. One of them is for your new clients. So if you tag a client with a new client, any new client that enters this pipeline is going to receive an email to schedule a discovery call. Now, any returning clients, you don't need to do a discovery call with them. You just need to welcome them back to your process. So your returning clients, anyone that you tag returning client, is going to receive a different email of welcome back. And again, these are templates that are fully modifiable for your needs. The next thing you'll see that happens is contracts go out. So similarly, we have a contract for new clients and we have a contract for returning clients. So again, those go out automatically, and perhaps you might want different verbiage for your returning client contracts as you're new, or if you don't, then you can just have one automation for the two of them. Now you'll notice there's a little bell next to the contract. What does that mean? That means that if the client doesn't sign the contract, then they're going to get a reminder automatically from you. This is what we like to call auto nat. So they're set currently to send a reminder in 3 days and a maximum of 2 reminders. These are fully modifiable for you and your team and the way you like your company to be structured as well. And then the other 2 automations that are in here, you notice all the automations are indicated with a little lightning bolt. So the next automation is if you have multiple people on your team, you might want to have different people assigned to the account at different times, right? So this kind of clears up their workspace from only having access when they need to and not when they don't. So here we have an update account access automation going off where your admin gets assigned to the case because at this stage, you don't need to be involved. Your managers don't need to be involved. This is more of an administrative task. And finally, you might want to organize how the client documents are going to be. So you can have a folder template automatically be applied as well. Now, all of this, again, happens automatically, right? So just in this one stage, we've got 6 automations, but they're conditional. So each client will only receive an email, a contract, and that's it. But they're going to receive the emails and contracts that are specific to them. Your new clients don't want the same information as your returning clients, and so forth and so forth. And finally, if you notice, we got the little red arrow. This means that you have auto move toggled on. So as soon as the contract is signed, the job is automatically going to move to the next stage. So that's really the beauty of this. You've set this up. You just click start, which we'll cover at the end of how to actually get this started. Your emails go out, your contracts go out, your templates are applied, and you don't actually have to do anything. All that has to happen now is the client signs the contract, and they'll even be reminded if they don't sign it themselves. As soon as they sign, the job is going to move to the next stage. Now, this is where we want to introduce conditional stages. So for your returning clients, you might not want to have a retainer be issued to them. For your returning clients, you might trust them. You might just only want retainers from new clients just because you don't want to spend time on somebody until you've earned their business. So you can have a conditional stage whereby also running on tags. So if a client has a tag of new client, they'll enter the stage. If the client does not have a new client tag, they're going to skip to the next stage automatically. So your new clients are going to get asked to pay you a deposit, which again is the create invoice automation that's going to go out. And your returning clients, they won't be asked this. Again, just want to caveat, this is fully modifiable. This is just one structure that we've come up with that we noticed a lot of firms do. They want retainers from new clients, and existing clients, they don't do so. But this allows you the flexibility to just have one easy process that all your clients are going to go through. And because auto move is on, the one pending item here is the invoice. As soon as that gets paid, the client is going to move to the next stage. Now, remember, your returning clients, they've skipped the second stage and they've gone straight to the organizer stage. So if you're a returning client, all you've received so far is a welcome back email, a contract, and that's it. As soon as you sign the contract, you've been sent an organizer. Okay, so super, super simple. And again, the organizers can also have reminders on it. This is this little green icon. So this little green bell means that your client is going to get reminded in 10 days with a maximum of 2 reminders. This is all fully customizable for you. Now, in this stage, we cover 2 separate different approaches. Now, some people prefer, myself included, to have one easy organizer that has conditions in them. So you can have in the organizer a question of, are you a returning client or are you a new client? And then they follow 2 separate paths. The reason why I prefer that is because that allows you to have one organizer that you keep updating, and it makes it much easier for you to have one all-encompassing, covering all scenarios organizer. If you have a returning client organizer and a new client organizer separately, you're going to have 2 organizers that you're going to want to keep updated as things change. So that's why I personally prefer the second image here in the bottom, which is just have one organizer which has conditions in them. You simply ask them, are you returning? Are you a new client? And then you can ask different questions based upon that. Now, if you haven't already, we have a whole webinar specifically on conditional organizers and how you can really use that to your benefit within there. But for the purposes of this webinar, this organizer gets sent automatically in the 3rd stage of your process. Now, it's because auto move is on, you don't have to do anything. All that has to happen is the client has to submit the organizer. As soon as they do that, the job will move forward. So if we backtrack a little bit, here we are, we just finished stage 3. And if you noticed, there has not been a single action item from anyone on your team. Up until this point, until the organizer is submitted, no one on your team spends a minute focusing on this. All of the invoices go out automatically, all of the retainers go out automatically, all of the contracts go out automatically, all of the communication, the emails go out automatically, and they're moved forward by actions based on the client. You and your team haven't clicked anything until the client submits the organizer and it comes into your workspace. Again, auto move keeps this job moving forward, forward, forward until there's actually something for you to do. So we get to the in prep part, okay? So we're set to the in prep part. And what this means is the client has submitted the organizer, they've signed the contract, and now it's time for you to actually get started and do what you do. So in this instance, we have the first automation, which is a communication to your client. So the first communication you want to let them know is, hey, you've done all this work. You've submitted the organizer. You've completed the contract. You've paid our retainer if you're a new client. Hey, that's it. We're getting started. You've done your work. Now it's on us. So you want to communicate that to your client through this automated email. Then a task gets created for your preparers to prepare the return, because now you've got the organizer, you have the documents, you can actually do it. So this task gets created to prepare the return, and there's a subtask in there to actually upload the return to TaxDome. It's the one thing to prepare the return, it's another to actually give it to your client. There's a subtask in there, and that upload to TaxDome, that can be either whether you print directly from your tax program or whether you use the upload functions or the drive, but getting the document into TaxDome so that your client can then see it. The next automation is update account access. So if you remember, in the prior case, we had the admin who had account access. So everything up until this point was administrative, getting the contract, making sure the retainers are paid. Any questions there, you don't want to deal with it. That's for the admin. But at this stage, you need the preparer to actually do their work. And the preparer doesn't want to see this in their workspace until it's time. So the automation here would remove the admin from the access and assign the preparer, and that preparer would see this task for them. Now, we've also been kind of toying a lot with how do you deal with extensions. So this is one way that we think is really kind of useful for you, is when the preparer is working on it, or an admin or anybody, they can apply a tag of extension needed, okay? And then the job can move forward. Now, the reason why this tag is so helpful is because our next stage is a conditional stage. This entire stage would be called needs extension, and any job that moves forward only would enter the stage if that tag extension needed was applied. Okay, so if nobody applied extension needed, the job would skip over the stage and would go straight to manager review. But if it needs extension, then you need somebody else to process that extension. So if the tag was applied, extension needed, the job would automatically enter into this stage. And again, it would leave the preparer's workspace and go to the admin, because perhaps you want the admin to prepare the extensions. And the admin would be assigned a task to actually file the extension. And then finally, the automation you can add a tag to extension file so that you can easily see which clients you filed the extension for, and remove the tag of extension needed. So this is the conditional stages, which will be coming out soon for you. Okay. All right, so we've gone from prepare in prep. Perhaps the client goes to needs extension, but perhaps they don't, perhaps they skip it over. And then the next thing is you get into manager review, right? Preparer has done their work, now it goes to the manager. So what do? You want to remove the access, clear up the workspace for the people that need to see it. The better and clearer your workspace is, the better it is that you can work. So that's why we prefer to have this automation, if you have a team, to remove access and add access to people, just so they can only see what's really they have to work on. So in this instance, we have an automation of removing the preparer because they've prepared the return, and removing the admin because they're done with the administrative work. And now it's time for your manager, or senior manager, however you want to call it, to review the return. So one thing that we recommend is to have an email go out to the client, because remember, this is all happening behind the scenes. The last communication that your client got was, we started preparing your return. Since then, they've heard nothing from you, technically. And here you can have an automation go, because technically you've prepared the first draft and now it's almost done. You just want the manager to review. A good method is to keep your clients in the loop, have an email go out to them automatically saying, hey, the return is in peer review. This makes them feel good. This makes them think that we're almost at the finish line and you have not gone quiet on them. This also stops them from checking in on you and asking, hey, what's going on? You want to have automation do the work for you instead of you manually doing it. So that's where this email comes in. And then finally, a task gets created for your manager. Remember, who's been assigned now to this case, to put his finishing touches on. And now as soon as they click done on finishing touches, they've reviewed it, all is well, the job automatically moves to the next stage automatically. This is the beauty of auto move. So in this instance, the actual amount of clicks on your team so far have been 0 here, 0 here, 0 here. Marking off a task as done, File, this is an extension. Marking off a task is done if they did it. So that's 2 clicks. Manager review, clicking done on that task. So your job has gone through 6 stages where in TaxDome, you've only had to click 3 buttons, which is marking 3 tasks as done. But during that process, you've had almost 20 automations go out. That's really the beauty of what we're describing here, is this process that allows you to really focus on what you need to do and remove the actual admin work from you. Remember, 6 stages so far, and we've had 20 automations and 3 clicks from you or someone on your team. Next, we go, once the manager's reviewed it, you might want to get payment and collect feedback from your clients. Now, again, this is fully customizable. Some people prefer to get payment before they start work. Some people prefer to get payment once the return has been prepared at this stage. So that's what we're going to cover here. So once the manager has reviewed it, you might want to remove the manager. Right now, at this point, it's back in the administrative queue. Manager is removed from the access, and the admin is assigned now to take care of any issues that are there. Invoice gets created automatically from your template, and an email goes out saying, hey, your return, this is the send email tax status update. This automation lets the client know, hey, your return is ready. We're about to upload it. You're about to pay, something like that. Again, fully modifiable to your needs. And finally, the one task for your team is just a reminder for them to move the file to the shared client folder. So what we find is a lot of times people upload a draft of the return and they put it into manager review in the private area, but you want the client to be able to see it. So this is why we recommend to create a task for your admin to move the file to the shared folder. And at the same time, lock the file to the invoice that's been created and request document approval. So what this does is the client will be asked to pay the invoice. As soon as they pay the invoice, they're going to be asked to provide feedback on the document and provide approval. As soon as this is done, again, without your intervention, the job will move automatically to the next stage. So all you've had to do in this instance is click done on the task, and the admin has had to move the file into the shared folder if it's not there already. Once that's done, it's on the client to pay the bill and to provide their feedback. As soon as that happens, remember, auto move is on. So because auto move is on, the job is going to move to the next stage automatically. Remember, we've just gotten an invoice, we've gotten feedback from the client. Presumably they accept the file, they're happy, they say, great, let's go to e-filing. Now you need to get approval. So at this point, again, this is still admin work. This is not something you need to prepare to be doing, but you need to get the e-file approval. So in this instance, we have a task get created for your admin. If you notice, there's no updating account access because it's still in the admin's queue. So right now the admin is assigned, and the admin is assigned to get e-file approval, which includes preparing the 8879 in your tax software, uploading it to TaxDome, linking the document to the job so you have context. So when you open the job, you can see the documents that are relevant to that job, and then requesting signature in TaxDome. And it also, an email goes out to the client automatically as well, saying, hey, please sign form 8879. After that, we can then e-file your return. We're almost there. Now, the beauty of this, again, is the auto move. So once the client signs, because you've linked it to the job and you've requested signature, as soon as the client signs the 8879, this job is going to automatically move forward. So the admin, all they've had to do is, set up the client for success, upload the 8879, link it to the job, and send it out for signature. That's it. They're done. It's in the client's to-do to sign it. As soon as they sign it, boom, client is done. A task is created still for the admin, presumably, because the admin can be e-filing your return. And then an email goes out to the client. You're all done. Fantastic job. We're e-filing your return. And that's it. As soon as they mark the e-file return is done, again, that's just one click, boom, you're finished. So you can have the account tag be removed. So if this was a new client, they're no longer a new client. You might want to have a returning client be applied. And maybe you want to get an online review from them, or review you on Google, on Yelp, something like that. You can have an email go out to them automatically there. So kind of breeze through this. We wanted to go over kind of how we see this and the flexibility within the automations. So the next thing we want to cover is actually how to start those jobs. So we talked about everything we talked about so far is once the job is started, it enters your pipeline. So once the job is started, it's going to go to stage 1, email and contracts. As we talked about, once they sign the contract, it's going to go to retainer only for new clients. Once they pay the invoice, they're going to be sent an organizer. As soon as they submit the organizer, if finally goes into your workspace, prepares the return. If they need an extension, they're going to go to needs extension, and a task will be assigned to an admin. If they don't, it's going to skip over, goes to the manager review, then you get invoice, signature, e-filing. So this is the flow of the job. But again, how does your job start? So that's when we get to here. There's two ways to start jobs. Number one is you can manually start jobs. So filter for your clients, select one, select 100, select 1,000 at once. Perhaps if you have bookkeeping, tax, payroll and so forth clients, you can filter them just for, say, your 1040 clients, and then click add job. With a click, you can start, again, hundreds of jobs at once. Or the next thing you can do is have jobs go to your schedule. So if you use the recurring pipeline, you click manage schedule inside of it, and then those accounts will be added automatically. And perhaps you want this process to automatically start on January 5th. So on January 5th, you can have 1,000 clients receive an email saying welcome back, or schedule your interview and send their contracts and so forth, all without you doing anything. So you can still be on vacation, but you've set this up, and then on that date, those jobs are going to get started right away. And a couple sneak peeks here. So the first sneak peek that we're going to talk about is we're releasing the ability to move jobs from one pipeline to another. What does that mean? Job is in stage in prep, and you want to move them to a different pipeline. Perhaps you don't want to manage your extensions in the same pipeline. Perhaps you want to move 1,000 jobs at once to a different pipeline just to manage your extensions. It really just depends on how you like to view it, but the ability to move jobs from one pipeline to another is in process and should be out soon. Another thing we're working on, which is going to take a little more time, is interface improvements. So the actual design of editing your pipeline stages, adding automations, doing those things. So that's also in process. Now, the next thing that we're working on, which we haven't really spoken as much about, but we're really excited, is ability to add client-specific automations. Okay, so we added conditional automations based off tags, and that's fantastic. That's a super useful tool because you have different groups of clients that have different needs. Just as we covered, you've got returning clients, you have new clients. That's the simplest case, where you don't want certain automations to fire for new, where you only want them for returning. But that works fantastic for groups of clients, right, in mass. But what if you have individual automations that you only want to happen for that one client? And we find this often with either bookkeeping clients, or when there's a lot of idiosyncrasies where even though you have a process, you want to make sure that the individual tasks can be created just for that one account. So we're currently working on that as well, ways so that each stage can have different automations just for that one client. So that's something we're super excited about. And finally, we're working on client-specific job schedules. So as we mentioned earlier, when we release job schedules, if you have, let's say, a 1040 pipeline and you have 30 accounts or 300 accounts on schedule, all 300 of those are going to fire on the same exact day with the same pipeline, with the same template. But you want some more flexibility. So we're currently working on giving you the ability to have client-specific schedules. So you can have one client recur monthly and another client recur annually at different dates with different templates and so forth. So that's going to be coming. Thank you, guys.